All right, we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our fourth and final segment today, which is going to be talking about one of the last big free agents on the market, Mike Clevinger, and him re-signing with his old team, the Chicago White Sox. Now, this was a one-year deal worth $3 million, according to Robert Murray of Fanside, which other people have backed up. There's $3 million in incentives as well, so assuming Clevinger does play well, he will be a one-year $6 million deal. Now, this deal is really interesting on a lot of levels. First of all, he declined a $12 million option from the same team at the start of the offseason, so he just cost himself $6 to $9 million depending on how he plays. So, not great there. It's also interesting that he went back to the White Sox after he had such a turmoil year there, with him, first of all, being just okay, the White Sox being horrible, and the domestic violence allegations that came up on him. There was no suspension, but he did have to go to counseling apparently, or some kind of therapy thing. So there was obviously something they found there. So there's definitely definitely an off the field situation with Mike Clevinger. I don't really want to go in further on that because I don't know enough of the details, but it did not look good of the things that the person accusing him said. So not great. But so I think that could have affected his market and why he had to settle for a one-year $6 million deal and go back to the White Sox, who frankly aren't that good, and I don't know why they're making moves like this. So I think he might have overestimated his market, and I think that was proven here now with the one-year $3 million deal, when he could have accepted his option, could have gotten way more. So my overall thoughts on this deal, first of all, from Clevinger's perspective, again, it is very puzzling. I don't know why he went back to the White Sox, who are bad. I understand that he didn't maybe have any options, but at least go to a team that could win, I guess. Like, there's really only two teams. There's only one team in the league I'd probably have worse than the White Sox, with the A's, and I don't think the A's would have signed Clevinger anyway because they're cheap. So there wasn't any other team that you wanted to go to or you could have gone to. Was there really only one team in your market? I mean, I know he's off-field stuff, but that's still kind of perplexing. So now for the White Sox, this doesn't make sense, and it makes sense on a few levels. Now, first, it makes sense because they need another starting pitcher after the Dylan Cease trade. It was reported that they were in talks with Michael Lorenzen for a contract as they were talking about a Dylan Cease trade at the same time. Lorenzen obviously ended up going to a different AL team in the Rangers, so they didn't end up landing him. So it does make sense they got Clevinger to fill in that spot that Cease left. So I think that does make sense. But overall, just thoughts other than that. I mean, it's strange why the White Sox are making this move now. They aren't a good team whatsoever. I mean, at all. I don't think I'm saying anything crazy by saying that. And the White Sox are signing a veteran guy with some off-the-field issues that I don't know how much he can get at the deadline. I mean, he had a 3.7 ERA last year. Assuming he has that again, what are you going to get? Some team's 17th ranked prospect who's like 24 years old. So I just not a fan of the move for the White Sox. I don't think it was that great, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I understand that maybe they just wanted another pitcher to fill in their rotation with the Dylan Cease trade and think they potentially get something for him at the deadline, but who's he really going to fill in? Chris Flexen? I don't understand why you couldn't just have Flexen in there if you're going to be bad anyways. Might as well try to tank and get the highest lottery odds you can, right? I mean, that would be my opinion. So I'm not really a big fan of this move for the White Sox. It's surprising to me as well, again, that the fact that he went back there, the White Sox took him back, and he didn't have any other options. So it was very strange to me, and I'm still, again, I think it's a surprising move that happened. So I think you add him to the players at the deadline who could be traded as a pitcher. Now, especially, I think he's definitely a prime trade candidate. Teams are going to look out for if they do feel comfortable with him off the field. Adding him to, I'd say, the biggest pitcher who we all believe is going to be traded at the deadline, which is Shane Bieber. I think add him now to that, his former teammate as well. So he definitely is going to be in trade deadline conversations when we do get up to that point. I've already done a trade deadline segment like around a month ago, but I'll do one as we get closer to that. I mean, the season just started, so we're not even close, but yeah. So now, one thing I'm surprised with is a lot of other teams who needed pitching didn't go for Clevinger. That's something that does surprise me, to be perfectly honest. First of all, I would look at a team like the Pirates. I've talked many times now, and I talked about this episode, how I think the Pirates need pitching help. And I think Clevinger, especially at this price, would have been a great add for them. Again, I want to make this all clear. I don't know what they feel about him as a character, but just baseball wise here, I think the Pirates would have made a lot of sense. I definitely think he's an upgrade over Bailey Falter. I mean, if you're trying to compete, who would you rather have in the rotation? Mike Clevinger, Bailey Falter? I think I know my answer pretty clearly there. So I'm surprised a team like the Pirates didn't go after him, with him only getting 1 year, $3 million. You could have offered him 1 year, $5 million with the same amount of incentives. I think that would have been fine. Some other teams I think could have potentially been interested in Clevinger's services. First of all, were the Cardinals. I would definitely have Clevinger over Steven Matz, probably in that 5 spot of the rotation. Now, you do have some younger guys coming up potentially soon, like Gordon Graceffo and Tink Hence. So I don't know how Clevinger or a signing of Clevinger would potentially affect that. But I think he would have made the Cardinals a lot better as well. And I think it would have added another level of pitching depth they just don't have right now. So I think that would have been a nice addition for the Cardinals. Also, I think the Mets could have looked into him as well. They are also talking to Julio Teheran. So maybe they're focused on him right now. They've had some pitching injuries already. You had Senga get hurt, and then his replacement, Tyler McGill, just got placed in the 15-day IL. So the Mets definitely need some more starting pitching depth right now, and it was kind of surprising they weren't mentioning Clevinger. As a Mets fan, I didn't really want him, but I still think he would have made sense, and I still think there could have potentially been a fit there. So that is surprising to me as well. I think the Phillies would have also made a lot of sense for Clevinger with them losing Taijuan Walker. I think he could potentially be a big fit in the back end of their rotation if they were trying to compete. And then once Walker does come back, Clevinger could move to a swingman role or be just good depth or be traded again. So I think there are some teams that I think could have been interested in Clevinger. So it is surprising to me that he did end up going back to the lowly White Sox out of all teams. I also think the Red Sox should have been interested with the injuries they've had. The Orioles, I think those teams all could have been interested, but they obviously weren't, so there could be something we're missing here about Clevinger and why teams just weren't that interested. I thought he was one of the better rotation arms left in the market, one of the better guys left in the market in general. So, again, it is surprising that he went back to the White Sox. I guess it could be potentially that he wanted to guarantee a starting role for him. And on these other teams who have more short-term injuries, I think that he might have been a starter for a little bit, but then would have been bumped to the rotation or to just the depth pool in general. And with the White Sox, who are not good, who need a lot of pitching, Clevinger would have definitely helped them and would have definitely been a big positive to them. So I think that going to the White Sox guarantees him a starting role, and that is probably the only reason it makes sense. And he probably wanted a starting role, get his value back up, and show teams that he is still a good starting pitcher. He got traded for a lot at the 2020 deadline to San Diego, so obviously has a great track record and could have potentially been a big fit for teams after that. Now, just looking at the last big free agents left in the market, really the big one left is Tommy Pham. I've talked a lot about Pham on this show, but I still am really just weirded out by why he hasn't signed yet. I mean, so many teams could use Pham's services. First of all, the Padres. If I'm the Padres, I'd have Pham signed a week ago. You don't have outfield depth at all. I don't want Jose Azocar or Jurickson Profar starting in that lineup. And getting Tommy Pham would give you another element to that lineup, make you so much deeper. And I really think that would have been a positive for them. I mean, right now you have Merrill, you have Tatis, and you have Profar in that outfield. I guess you have Manny Machado as DH with him recovering from injury, but once he's healthy, you can move him to back to third base. You then have Jose Azocar moving to fourth outfield, sign Tommy Pham, make him the starting DH. That's a great move in my opinion. That lineup becomes so much deeper. The only light spot there would be the 9 batter who would be Jurickson Profar, and you can always trade for a center fielder. You can always trade for a corner outfielder. So I am still really. It is just strange to me that Tommy Pham is still out there on the market and is still not signed with anyone. And Clevinger being one of the big last 2 free agents left with him and Pham, it does make me wonder what is going on with this market. Do teams really hold that whole Jock Peterson thing against him this long now? I don't know, but that could potentially be a thing. Do they think he's asking for too much? That could also be it. Do they think he's old and they don't really want an older player like that? I don't know. I mean, he still hits really well in my opinion. He's still a positive player and still a player that can make a big impact to any team. So, yeah, definitely a little strange as to why Pham has not been signed yet. I think the Padres are the team that comes to mind a lot. I think they make a lot of sense for him. I think he could potentially go back to the Diamondbacks if they would like to have him. I think some other teams that could use him as well could be the Reds, who could use some more outfield depth. I think potentially the Marlins could. I also think some other teams that could use him could be the Rays or the Blue Jays, but again, no team has signed him yet for some odd reason, and we'll never really know why that is. I think it could have something to do with off-the-field stuff. Maybe the Jock Peterson stuff is coming back to haunt him, or maybe he's just asking for too much, but still perplexing as to why he has not been signed. So I wanted to mention him with the Clevinger stuff because, again, as I said, both were the main two free agents left in the market, and the fact that Clevinger has gone off the board and Pham hasn't is very strange to me. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that. So that is our show today. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, thank you for subscribing, listening, donating, all that. You can find us anywhere. You can get content: Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Again, for content and updates. Thank you again for watching. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see what baseball throws at us tomorrow. Thanks, guys. See you later. Bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go